Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very, very warm welcome. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to round one of the SMRC eSports iRacing Summer Championship. And a wonderful performance. Fraser Williamson is going to come across the line to win heat number one of the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship. Lewis Ward is going to pick up second place with Ronald Grossman in third. We've seen him absolutely dominate in real life racing, but he's going to come across the line. It's a brilliant race 2 win for Vic Covey. Second place is going to go to Rory Bright. Third place is going to go to Sam Corson.
2 out of 3 for the 369 of Fraser Williamson, who comes out of the bus stop chicane, flashing the headlights aplenty. What a job. 2 wins out of 3. Through the bus stop chicane, one final time, comes the 369 Porsche Cayman GT4 of Fraser Williamson, who does the double here in Belgium at Spa-Francorchamps. And look at the gap, David. It's absolutely humongous.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the virtual recreation of Silverstone GP Circuit for round number 3. Checker flag is out for Lewis Ward around the final corner here for the SMRC iRacing eSports Championship. Round 3 goes to Lewis Ward. A wonderful win there. Jack Hare will come across the line in second place. Fraser Williamson, what on earth went wrong? We will find out in the post-race interview from Fraser Williamson. Ronald Grossman comes across the line in P4.
He'll get the checkered flag from Fraser Williamson in a car that's going to have to grab it home. Oh my goodness.
He's got
and the left
wheel
comes off as he crosses the line. Would you believe that?
And Jack Hare crosses the line to take the win for race number 2. Martin Buchan is going to come across the line. We haven't spoken about him. What a drive from the Pink Demon in second place there. Lewis Ward is going to take third place. Fourth place for Ronald Grossman. Welcome to the outskirts of Castle Donington in Derby. The virtual recreation of Donington Park greets us tonight for round 5 of the SMRC iRacing Championship.
Fraser Williamson, he will get the checkered flag. What a dominant display by the 369. And then second place for Jordan Gronkowski, who edges out Lewis Ward by just 0.087 of a second.
Going to be a race win, his very first win at the championship, and Jordan Gronkowski wins race number 2. Ronald Grossman in second place. Adam Brown, a stunning performance from Adam Brown there. Third place for him. Lewis Ward in fourth. Michael Weddle in fifth place. Fraser Williamson wins race number 1 tonight, followed by Lewis Ward in P2. But here we go, it's a ding-dong battle. Oh my goodness me, 3 cars involved for the final spot on the podium. Kieran Smart takes third place. But it's all about this man here. Jack Hare comes out the final corner for race number 2 to take the win. Wonderful win there for Jack Hare. John Lang is going to come across in second place. Third place is going to be Peter Butcher. A very warm welcome to the penultimate rounds of the SMRC iRacing Summer Championship as round 7 hits Monza. Autodromo Nazionale Monza. It's going to be a race win for Jack Hare. 8 seconds, and it's a strong, dominant performance. That is a marker set down for the championship for sure, as Fraser Williamson comes across the line in second place. Ron Grossman in third.
Coming around the final corner, the number 33 of Jordan Gronkowski comes through the parabolica. After disaster in the first race for the 33, comes across and starts weaving left to right, flashing the headlights, and wins race 2 here at Monza. But now it is between Fraser Williamson, who is ahead and has managed to keep in front of Adam Brown round the final corner, and now taking a lead in the standings. Fraser Williamson goes to the final round at Bathurst in a couple of weeks.
That's right. 8 circuits over 8 different weeks. 36 different drivers, and it all comes down to this. 4 drivers still in contention with their hands on the title. Ladies and gentlemen, all that stands between them and the title is 3.8 miles of Mount Panorama Circuit, located in Bathurst, New South Wales, Australia. A very, very good evening. My name's David Christie, and as always, for the final time this season, a very good evening to Alex Goldschmidt.
Good evening, David. Good evening, everyone, from all those SMRC eSports racing fans. And in the words of Vinnie Jones, it's been emotional.
It certainly has, buddy. It certainly has. It's been a fantastic, fantastic season. I've loved every single moment of it. But it all comes to a head tonight at Bathurst. The drivers are scared. We're a little bit anxious. Are you looking forward to tonight?
Well, considering the fact that the top 4 are covered by just 56 points coming into this round, unpredictability is what Bathurst brings to the eSports iRacing finale. Because at the end of this 1-hour race, David, we will have an inaugural champion. You know, looking at the points coming into this, it is incredibly close between first and second after 2 dynamite races back at Monza last time out a couple of weeks ago. But a maximum amount of 75 points is on offer here, and it is about making sure that you cross every T and dot every I and leave no stone unturned, because the slightest mistake can cause a domino rally effect that I think that everyone might think could be coming, and I've got a fear that it might happen, because as they say, in motorsport, when it happens, it pretty much normally does.
Yeah, when it goes wrong big time, and Bathurst is one of those tracks where it could very, very much do that. Before we get too engrossed in everything, before we get too excited and turn our attention to Australia too much, we've actually got a very special message from the SMRC Business Development Manager, Rory Bryant.
Hi, Rory Bryant here, Business Development Manager at the SMRC. I just wanted to say a big thank you to everybody that's taken part in the Summer Esports Championship over the last few months. I would normally have been really involved in the organisation team, but I had been fortunate enough to be able to actually take part in this championship this time, and it's been my first experience of an esports championship, and I've really enjoyed it. It's been great fun, great camaraderie, lots of close racing, sometimes a bit too close, so yeah, sorry about that. You know, I hope everybody else has had as good a time as I have. I'd like to say a big thank you to David Christie and Alex Goldsmith for the excellent coverage they've been putting on. I think we've all really enjoyed flicking back after the races to check out all the action and what's happened, and in my case, mostly just hoping they've not caught anything, any excursions or any embarrassing moments. But you know, that's been really great to have. And finally, you know, a big thank you to our sponsors as well for the championship, particularly Torque Racewear for you know, the Torque Driver of the Day initiative, which has been great. I'm certainly looking to try and get my hands on my last chance tonight to get my hands on a pair of the gloves, so to speak. So maybe I'll be lucky. But that's been really good, and I think, you know, this isn't the end of the road for the SMRC esports journey. So, you know, watch this space, and I hope to see you all back out and racing with us again soon. But, you know, thank you once again for being involved, and good luck tonight. Cheers.
So there we go. Thank you very much for those kind words from Rory Bryant. And Alex, I know we couldn't hear that. I've had to listen to the video. He was singing our praises, saying thank you very much to myself and to you. So yeah, we're very, very appreciative of that. And yeah, it all comes down to tonight. And Bathurst, an iconic location in Australia.
Yeah.
I was waiting to say New South Wales there. It is New South Wales.
Yeah,
you know when you correct yourself and you realise you were right the first time?
You sort of, sometimes there is that case of double doubt, isn't there? You sort of like have deja vu, sort of like, is it or isn't it? You have to do a double take. And so the banter's going to be in full effect, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, to be honest with you. It's the season finale after all, but yeah. New South Wales, Australia, the circuit is an FIA Grade 3 listed track, opened back in the late 30s, 16th of April 1938. And it currently hosts the Liquid Moly Bathurst 12 Hours, which is the GT3 Spectacular. And look at the weather. 23 degrees Celsius, 28% humidity, 13 kilometre an hour wind, 6.14 kilometres, altitude of 709 metres, 36 degrees.
Don't know about you, Alex, but I'm waiting to go and get the towel out. I'm waiting to go and do a bit of sunbathing this afternoon.
Well, you might. Well, I mean, hopefully you won't get out your string vest either, I hope, my friend. Virtually speaking.
No, that's not going to happen. Don't you worry about that.
But obviously, you know, there's icons that have raced around this circuit. The late Peter Brock, who we lost 14 years ago. Craig Lowndes, Jamie Whincup, Chaz Mossert, Gentleman Jim Richards, Mark Scaife. The list goes on and on. And that's obviously with regards to Virgin Australia Supercars, who will become Repco Supercars for 2021, and a new sponsorship deal that was announced earlier on this week. But you can just see that some of the places here, you know, you've got McPhillamy Park, you've got Skyline, the S's, you know, the iconic Conrod Straight heading into the chase. If anyone remembers that famous redress that Garth Tander was definitely on the receiving end of a couple of years ago. It is a track that's really going to test all the drivers because, you know, when you go through Hell Corner, up Mountain Straight, up through Quarry, into the cutting, Griffins, Reed and Solomon Park, you know, there's a lot of elevation changes here, and it gets very tight and technical, despite the fact that you can push these cars to over 250 kph down Conrod Straight heading into the chase. So it is about having nerves of steel, but also big cojones at the same time.
That was very, very well put. So without further ado, we're just a couple of minutes away from qualifying. We have been struck with a few technical gremlins tonight, so we'll do our best to bring qualifying as much as we can, but I fear that it may just be a play-by-play description from myself and Alex. In the meantime, let's have a look and remind ourselves what exactly is at stake for tonight. And I didn't actually mean to play that again. There we go. Rory
yes,
Bryant.
Yeah, well, shall I take everyone through this, shall I? Because
yes,
I've got my
please
pen
do.
ready. So, Fraser Williamson comes into this on 366 points, just three ahead of Jack Kerr in the number 13. Lewis Ward, who we saw actually going into Monza, was leading the standings, but a couple of disasters for the 98 put him on the back foot. So he's 24 points behind. Ronald Grossman is an outside bet. He's 56 points off of Williamson. Now, look at it from this perspective. We've got the top five will get points for qualification. It's 5 for pole position, 4 for second, 3 for third, 2 for fourth, and fifth, you get 1 point. But the biggest thing that we have here, David, is the gap between first, second, and third. So a win is 70 points, second is 60, third is 52, and then the gaps get down. So it's 46 for fourth, 42 for fifth. So realistically, let's put it this way. If Ronald Grossman gets a total of 75 points, he's going to need for Fraser Williamson, Jack Eyre, and Lewis Ward to have some major dramas. And by that, I mean they do not score enough points. So if Grossman gets 385 points, if Fraser Williamson, and I'm looking at this quite fastidiously here because it's all the way down to 25th position. So if Fraser Williamson scores, let's say, he has to if Grossman finishes and wins the whole thing, gets the Grand Chelem, as they say, Fraser Williamson will have to basically finish 18 points. So if he finishes with 18 points, that's 18th position. That means that Fraser Williamson will miss out on the inaugural iRacing Championship by a single point. That's how close it can get. And battling for the rest of the scraps on the tables, you've got like Jordan Gronkowski, who took race 2 victory at Monza last time out after having an absolute howler in race 1, let's not forget. Kieran Smart has been the best BMW all season. He's running out the top 6 ahead of Martin Buck and John Lang, the best of the Missed Apex crew in 8th ahead of Peter Butcher and Andrew Hopley. Mr. Two Thumbs Fresh rounding out the top 10 on 197 points. So there are so many different permutations that I think both of our brains can't really compute with them at the moment.
That there's so much that can change, especially with this being a 60-minute race. This is a full hour race. It's double points, so obviously everything to play for. But realistically, it's just those top 4 that are going to be on for the championship. However, given that the difference between 5th, 6th, 7th, and even 8th is only 50 points, that is up for them for some major changes in the top 10. But even though it's only fair that we go past and have a look further down as well, outside of the top 10, you've got Michael Weddle in 11th place there, Adam Brown in 12th, Sam Harper in 13th, Sam Corson in 14th, and Rory Bryant, we saw him on the video there twice, in 15th place. Scott Smith is another driver that's been very, very consistent through the season.
Well, I think we've been discussing this all season long, because obviously when we came into this, the Porsche was the only car available before we had the BMW M4 GT4 join the fray, and there have been certain drivers like Chris Knox, like Scott Smith, like Andrew Hopley and Kieran Smart that have stuck with the BMW come hell or high water all the way through this season. And I have to give props to each and every single one of those 4 drivers I've just mentioned, because when everyone else decided to switch, they decided, no, we're going to stick it out. We're going to try and master this car. And Kieran Smart is the one that has done, we've seen Andrew Hopley battling in the top 5. Obviously, he's been in incidents that haven't really been of his making.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, the performance for the BMW M4 has improved through the relevant software patches that iRacing have brought to both cars. And it's sort of equalised things, but I don't think in quite the capacity that maybe people were hoping for, that had decided to go on the BMW, because I think, what was it? I think it was after round 2 or round 3, the drivers got a one-time opportunity. Cameron Ritchie changed, Adam Brown changed, Logan Hanna changed to those cars. And for some it went well, for some, unfortunately, it didn't really go according to plan.
Yeah, and that's been the real testament of the season, Alex, is the fact that consistency and really getting in the results through all of the races has seen these drivers up into the top 10. They're the most consistent ones. Maybe not been in the top 3 every single race, but they've certainly been up in the top 5 or top 10.
Yeah, very true. You have to look at the rate of success. I mean, Fraser Williamson came swinging from the branches, at the first round at Okayama, but then, race 2 was a different composition altogether, because we had, I think, one of the most dramatic starts, I think is the term I'm going to use.
That's put it politely.
But it literally, Williamson was out. I think we had 7 or 8 cars out, pretty much with significant damage. Williamson being one of them. But you have to look at the point scoring all through the races. I mean, Lewis Ward, as a result of the 1 hour, the single 60 back at Silverstone for round 3, he took a maximum score. Williamson hit trouble. He got a track limits infringement and a black flag, which punted him down the order. So he had to start fighting back. So this championship has provided that unpredictability, and it has provided also really, really close racing all the way through the season. And I think we're going to see that tonight, because as I said earlier, it's about making sure that mistakes are not made, unforced or otherwise. Because the minute you put a foot wrong here at Bathurst, the biggest thing that the mountain does it bites, and it bites hard, big time.
Yeah, certainly does. So, a very good evening to OTL Racing, to Nathaniel Lamond and to Peter Butcher. A very quick apology that we are not currently on qualifying at the moment. We are a little bit of a technical snafu, means that we can bring you the live timing, but we can't actually bring any live pictures from qualifying just now. However, in the meantime, I do have a backup. I have got an onboard lap from Bathurst. So let's have a little look here. So this is Alex going up the Conrod Straight then, and up the mountain straight, the first long straight in towards Griffin's Bends here, and then the elevation on this track is absolutely absurd, isn't it? As we head up towards the cutting, around the left-hander here, and then what happens is a series of fast corners, turn 5 and turn 6. This is Quarry Corner, and then into Reed Park.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is the cutting. I mean, if anyone remember Perkins and Ambrose clashing there, you know, we're going through into the fastest part of the circuit, you know, through Solman, through into McPhillamy. Then you've got Skyline. If anyone might remember a Ferrari going off to the right-hand side and hitting the barriers hard, you know, Katsumatsu Chiyo in Godzilla back in 2015 with the likes of Ollie Jarvis, you know, winning here at the 12 hours. Down into the dipper, you know, through the S's. This is where true commitment comes through. So they've gone through the S's, now into the dipper before the left-hander at Forest Elbow. And this is where the drivers really need to be careful, because drivers will try and push it up the inside. But then you've got this you know, you could see 3-4 drivers either going side by side down this. But it is very narrow here at Bathurst as we head down Conrod Straight, pushing in excess of 240 to 250 kph. That's around 160 miles an hour. Then it's full commitment into the first part of the chase. If anyone remembers Fabian Coulthard's role big time a few years ago, luckily enough, there was a strong enough roll cage through into the first part of the chase. And sometimes on the right-hand side, drivers can run wide. And this, just as we go under the Armorel Bridge, heading down towards Murray's Corner, just a little bit further back was where Garth Tander got the famous redress back in V8 Supercars, as round through Murray's Corner over towards Pit Straight. But, you know, just showing how hard this is. And the run here down to Hell Corner is going to be one of those ones, David, that really is going to test the field, because they're going to try mitigate the amount of wheel spin, because obviously all the cars are rear-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And we're going to find that these drivers are really, really going to push. Now, obviously, we're into qualification now. We've got 8 minutes and 20 completed. Lewis Ward, currently third in the standings on 342 points. He's on course for getting a maximum score of 5. Fraser Williamson is in second position. That'll net him 4 points. But then the biggest question is where is Jack Hare going to filter into all of this? Because Lewis Ward, I mean, it's really, really close. It's 22 thousandths between Lewis Ward and Fraser Williamson in the initial throws of qualifying. But one of the biggest things here, David, is that on a qualifying lap, you've got to get it right. If you get it wrong, the first thing you're going to do in this kind of situation, you can escape during qualifying, but you can't escape during the race. Nowhere to hide here at Mount Panorama.
No, there certainly isn't, and the times kind of show that for sure. I mean, that's what 7 seconds from first to 14th place. Now, the other thing as well is that it's very difficult to get a really fast, clean lap around here, let alone be consistent when you're pushing it. But now, one of the great things about it is during qualifying, if you damage your car, you can just go straight back to the pits and try again. Yeah, very true indeed. I mean, you know, it's far from easy, but it's about hooking it up, because the thing is that obviously the Porsches make up the majority of this field. As now Jack Hare factors in big time. That's a 2 minute 14.648 here at Bathurst. That now puts him into a position where he closes the gap. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because I've got notepad and pen in hand. Effectively, if things were to finish as they are right now, we've got just under 5 minutes of the session completed. This puts Fraser Williamson on 369. Jack Hare, if he gets pole in this race, 1 point between them, 368. Yeah. That's how close it is, and of course they're going to know that going into the race.
Yeah, they're just. I think one of the biggest things now is that in qualification, as I said, it is important. And now you look at the top three. So Lewis Ward, this puts him on 3:46. Ronald Korsman, I don't see on the timing screens at the moment.
That's because he hasn't put a fast lap in. In fact, actually, I don't see him connected to the server.
Well, that effectively then puts us down to a three-way scrap for the title, and it's quite interesting how these drivers now. I mean, look at it. We've got 5 that have yet to set a time. Michael Weddle and the 17, Grant Angus in the 23. 4 actually. Rory Bryant has yet to set a lap time, and Chris Knox in the 888 BMW. Obviously, the number run by Craig Lowndes through his career with 888 when it was under Team Vodafone and then Red Bull Racing Australia. But he's still having a part-time campaign in supercars at the moment. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be quite interesting if Lewis Ward can put a lap together to put the cat amongst the championship pigeons. Well, he is one of 3 that are in this. So Sean Dobie goes 14th on a 2-minute 21.105. But I'm just looking at the times between the top 5 here, David, covered by just over 3/4 of a second.
Yeah, there's nothing in it at all. And it's one thing being able to put that lap in.
I'm sorry, Jack Hare, you absolute hooligan. 2-minute 14.507. He's now 1/4 of a second quicker than Lewis Ward. But Fraser Williamson responds and goes, would you believe this? 1/1000th quicker on the next lap. Have you got the defibrillator on standby, virtually speaking, here in the commentary box?
I'm getting one delivered from Amazon. Other online retailers are available, obviously, but yeah, that's on its way. And I'm getting the impression that Michael Weddle isn't really enjoying qualifying, because he's just asked me on Facebook if we mind if he just pops into Discord throughout the evening. So, Michael, concentrate on your driving. You're down there in 14th. You need all the concentration you can. But yeah, here we go. 2 minutes left to go in the qualifying session. Fraser Williamson really sets it up when it matters. He is put the cat amongst the pigeons, as you were saying there earlier, Alex, with a 1,000th of a second. That is just frighteningly quick. But again, it's all about race pace and consistency, because goodness knows what could happen during this race.
Yeah, Lewis Ward has just put in a 2-minute 14.752. I think has quite literally set exactly the same lap time as he did earlier on in the session as we're coming to the last 90 seconds. But the biggest thing from my perspective is that we have a grandstand finale in prospect, and to have this is going to be the closest that any pole position this season has been decided by the... Well, actually... There's one I could go a little bit better. If it was on countback and Fraser Williamson set the lap time before Jack Hare, he would get pole position on countback. So literally, we're 1/1000th off of it being a dead heat for pole position as we head into the last 60 seconds.
That is a very, very scary thought indeed, with just 3 points left to go in the championship, and it looks like we're now down to a 3-car race. Fraser Williamson, Jack Hare and Lewis Ward currently the only ones that are taking part in this evening that have still got a hand on the cup, the championship, and they are on the table just now. Fraser Williamson, Jack Hare, Lewis Ward. I'm so frightened right now. I've got to be honest, Alex. My heart is in my mouth. We've only got 30 seconds left to go in qualifying here. This is, I honestly don't know how this is going to go. This is either going to be one of the greatest sim races that we have seen, or it is going to go very, very badly wrong. I like those options.
Let's just see if everyone gets through Hell Corner all right. So, session concluded. That's it. Time's up. Last qualifying session of the season. And Fraser Williamson has just put it... Yeah, it's still 3 points, effectively. So, Fraser Williamson now goes on to 370 points. Jack Hare on 367. And Lewis Ward drops a further point behind. So, Fraser Williamson will line up on pole position. And Jack Eyre, look, dead heat. Absolute dead heat according to the timing. My godfathers, that was close. Lewis Ward and Adam Brown on row 2. Jordan Gronkowski and John Lang ran out row 3 ahead of Martin Buchan in the 35. Sam Harper in the 52. Kieran Smart in the 39 and the number 3 of Jacqueline Chalmers. That's her best qualifying of the season. Ahead of Rory Bryan in the 37 with Anil Singh from Mist Apex in the number 42, running out the top 6 rows.
There we go. Scott Smith starts in P13 alongside Michael Weddle in 14th place. Ian Erasmus in 15th with Sean Dobie in 16th. 17th place is going to be Cameron Ritchie alongside Gary Brown. And then at the back of the grid is Chris Knox and Grant Angus. So looking forward to seeing them. But let's go to the track and have a little look because we are getting ready to go racing here. So yeah, let's. I'm just going to send it back to our holding screen just for a second, just to make sure we are good to go, and we certainly are, because of course you could see there where our little technical snafu is, your boy was deciding to go and join the race, just like the very first race of the season. It's actually a funny point, so they've changed, as of yesterday, they did a big massive update, and now there's this beautiful new user interface that you have to use. So I'm so used to going in now to hosted and to spectate and all that sort of stuff, but I just accidentally went straight through and joined the race. So that is where we are.
Unfortunately, David had a Control-Alt-Delete moment there.
Yes, I did. You better believe it.
Yeah.
Here we go then. Are you ready, Alex?
As ready as I'll ever be, David.
Let's
because
get
it
some
looks like
sound on here because we can't hear anything. There we go. Right, so the pace car is underway and we are ready for a 60-minute race. Fraser Williamson leads Jack Eyre from Lewis Ward and Adam Brown, and my little heart can't take this. I am so excited. All I do know, Alex, is that at the end of this 60 minutes tonight, we are going to have our inaugural SMRC iRacing Summer Champion.
So, top 10 as they go under the Armour Bridge, heading into Murray's Corner. It's Williamson from Eyre, Ward, Brand, Gronkowski, Lang, Buchan, Harper, Smart and Chalmers. Pace car in the pits. Ladies and gentlemen, ready to get things underway for the SMRC iRacing eSports finale. Here at Mount Panorama, we are lights on red. Do we go green? And racing here for 1 hour. It is lights out. We are off and away, and a great start. First of all, by Fraser Williamson, heading into Hell Corner for the first time. Jack Eyre in second. Lewis Ward rounding out the top 3, but is being closed in on by Adam Brown as they head up the mountain straight for the first time. Everyone making things rather clean, as we do have Tom Jones in the 24 rounding out the 21 strong, so obviously no qualifying time, but look at how quickly heading into Quarry Bend, the right-hander up towards the cutting as Jack Eyre trying to go up the inside for Fraser Williamson. Biggest key point here, ladies and gentlemen, is that if Jack Eyre wins the race and finishes ahead of Fraser Williamson, it will mean he will win the championship by 7 points at the end of 8 rounds of competition. What a great start by the top 2.
Wow, oh wow. What on earth do you say to that one? Because look at that, Fraser Williamson now starting to settle down. Lewis Ward with Adam Brown all over the back of him right now. And do you know what? We have to give credit. We have to give every single car credit out on that track right now because everyone is still going. And what a fantastic race we've got going so far. Who was that going very wide? That was Adam Brown. Almost get it all wrong into Skyline there.
Yeah, so Jordan Gronkowski's just been passed by John Lang for position. That's P5 as they go through the S's and down into the dipper. This is a very technical part of the circuit. You've got to carry the momentum through as the leaders now come out of Forest Elbow. This is where the speed really cranks up, in the words of Spinal Tap, to volume number 11. Let's see if we can get a telemetry from Fraser Williamson to see what speeds these cars are pushing. Right, that's 240 kilometres plus an hour. 250 as we head into the chase. Oh my goodness, that's 165 miles an hour plus. These GT4 cars are pushing as they come into the right-left complex at the chase before heading down to Murray's Corner. But after the first couple of minutes, Fraser Williamson does not have that much of an advantage. And there is a mandatory pit stop in this race as well. So that is another key point.
Big drama going on behind. This is a replay of Grant Angus. That's at the exit of Skyline. And getting it all wrong there. Clips the wall. And then after that as well, we've got a big moment where we see this is down into the second to last corner, and that's just a couple of cars going off.
Yeah, that's Jacqueline Chalmers just being followed by Rory Bryant there. But yeah, unfortunately for Grant Angus, he's now put that in the pits. He's done a bit of a Chaz Mostert there. You ever remember when he won the title, the Super Cheap Bathurst 1000 a few years ago in the Ford Falcon? The following year, he went off and the car was unable to compete. As now we've got another replay. Oh, Rory Bryant and Jacqueline Chalmers into the wall just off of the outside of Murray's corner, and Scott Smith very quick to avoid.
I don't know about you, but I'm fancying giving her driver of the day just for that little manoeuvre alone. Only joking, Rory.
Now, this is a very serious driver of the day award this time around, because anyone that can tame the mountain, and at the moment the person that is doing so is Fraser Williamson, but Jack Eyre is wanting to put one up on the 369. They go through Skyline, down through towards the S's, then into the Dipper. You can just see how much both of these, how hungry they are for the title.
Look at Jack Eyre, look at that back end.
Yeah, that was close. Any mistake, as I said, as I think Jack Eyre just glanced the wall coming out of the right-hand side of Forest Elbow, going down the Conrod Straight. David, this is where it all counts. It is about precision. It is about consistency. It is about making no errors whatsoever. And when we get past the pit stop phase, it's about the one that has the physical and mental capacity to make sure that they make it all go right, rather than it all going rather south very, very quickly. As one wrong move, as we saw with Grant Angus, I think that car's out. That car was heavily damaged after pinballing off of the walls.
Yeah, certainly looked to be heavily damaged there, but Fraser Williamson does do very, very well towards the second half of the circuit here at Mount Panorama. Once he gets through Solomon Park, through McPhillamy Park, through Skyline, that's where he begins to really eke out that gap ahead of Jack Eyre behind him. But as soon as they get down towards the chase and into Murray's corner, he just gets reeled right back in. Further behind though, Lewis Ward hasn't dropped off all that much as well. I mean, we've still got 18 cars within about 15 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at the pace between the top three as well. I mean, Fraser Williamson running on 2 minute 15.454. Jack Eyre is keeping pace. But then you look at Lewis Ward. He's like 20 hundredths off, or well, less than 20 hundredths off. Probably make that about 15 thousandths off of Jack Eyre in terms of pure outright pace. But the biggest strategy call that we're going to see in this, because let's look at it from this perspective here, David. Mount Panorama is an aggressive track. You know, the lateral forces going through the sidewalls, the tyres are going to get stepped, they're going to get scrubbed. The drivers are going to have to compensate, they're going to have to mitigate the amount of degradation through some of the sweeping corners, as Jordan Gronkowski gets a really good run heading into McPhillamy and Skyline on the number 48 from Missed Apex. So John Lang keeping in 5th place at the moment. Gronkowski, he hit the wall. Didn't he hit the wall just then?
I'm pretty sure they did. I heard
it. Yeah, it looked like it. I think he went down through Skyline and got caught out, and the back end probably stepped out. Yeah, there's damage on that car. That car is absolutely mullered at the front right corner, I believe, because you could just see him trying to turn left, and the car was not cooperating.
Just having a look here as we see another incident for Grant Angus. That's a very unusual place to lose it. That's coming up the cutting.
Yeah, and going through into Griffin's Mount and Reed Park. So again, he's back in the pits as... that's drama for Tom Jones, who actually joined towards the back of the field. He didn't set a qualifying lap time. Chris Knox has now rejoined. So I did say this was going to be this is where the attrition starts, because we're nearly a sixth through this race. Williamson, and look at the fastest lap of the race from Jack Eyre, a 2 minute 15.08. Williamson is coming under fire, and Jack Air is closing.
Fantastic view. We'll stay on board with your second place man, Jack Air, as he goes up the mountain straight towards turn number 2, Griffin's Bend. Wonderful right-hander, so easy to let the car wash out to that left-hand side. You want to take a little bit of the curve there, and it's straight back on the power in towards turns 3 and 4. Again, 3, you're still on the power, and then it's hard on the brakes onto turn number 4, up through the cutting, and then in towards Quarry Corner here, and then it's Reed Park. And this corner here, turn 6, is really sorting the men from the boys on that one, because you have to have your line absolutely sorted here. Through Frog Hollow and then Solomon Park.
Yep.
And look at how much he gains of an advantage, does Fraser Williamson.
I mean, the thing is that you've got to really have your car set up to be able to cope with the quick changes in camber, undulation as we're going down the hill now through the S's and through the Dipper, and then through into Forest Elbow. It's you know, you can see that Fraser Williamson gains some good speed through Solomon and McPhillamy, and that's where he's able to carry that momentum. But Jack Air, he's been able to close, because as soon as they go down Conrod Straight, what's the biggest thing that when you're running in dirty air? Less fuel is being used. The guy in front is doing all the work for you. And look, it's closing to under a quarter of a second. They're going through into the chase. Jack Air, in another lap or two, if he's close enough to the back bumper of Williamson, he has got an opportunity to go for the lead in the initial stages. And then it's about who blinks first when it comes to the pit stops. As you see up the inside, it says Ian Erasmus in the 808. Unfortunately, that front end, I think, a little bit crumpled. That was very close. I think, who was that just went past? Well, he's just gone into the path of Jacqueline Chalmers. Here comes Rory Bryant going in millimetres from the wall on the right hand Forest Elbow.
Let's
Rory,
see what happens.
I know you're blooming good at what you do, but crikey, that could have been a ripper of an accident if he'd have caught the edge of that wall. But Ian Erasmus just loses the back end trying to put the power down. So didn't clip the wall on the right-hand side of Forest Elbow as Michael Weddell rounds out the top 12 positions. But look again, Air is closing on Williamson. And Williamson's got the fight of his life at the minute because of the way... I'm going to do my first calculation of the evening. So if Fraser Williamson wins the race, it's 440 points to him. And then Jack Air will be on 427. And if I'm honest with you, David, it's got to be down to Williamson and Air having a moment that means that Lewis Ward comes into this, because he'll have 52 points, and that will put him on 397.
Yeah, because he's just too far back and he's not really in contention with that battle. So, as well as Ronald Grossman, he was our outside hope for the title, and with Fraser Williamson and Jack Air, going toe to toe with each other, it's just not going to happen for him at the moment. But again, things could change. We've got a very long way to go in this race.
Yeah, as John Lang comes through down towards the through to the Dipper,
and that's Gary Brown. He's had another moment in the that looks like the run up towards Mountain Straight there.
Up Mountain Straight through into Quarry Bend, and the back end. Oh,
well held.
That was very well held, and the right rear wheel.
Hello. Right, apologies for that, guys. We are back. We'll reconnect to the server and we'll be back with live coverage in just a second. So a very warm welcome back, and apologies about that loss in service there. It looks like it wasn't just me, Alex. Your internet completely crashed as well there.
Yeah, I mean, I just had to switch.
I just did it as well. I had to restart the entire router, so very bizarre. But never mind, 16 minutes gone, and it's still as you were. We've now got 14 cars on the lead lap here, so we haven't really missed all that much because it's still 0.4 of a second. However, what is interesting is look at this battle for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th place there.
Yeah, very much the case there, David. Yeah, you know, Martin Buck and Kieran Smart. Jordan Gronkowski is down 3 places, having started in 5th, because that all started with John Lang getting past him in the number 48.
Poor Alex. I'm saying, oh, look at this. I forgot to share my screen with you again. There you go.
What? I've got the virtual saucepan waiting this side of the commentary box to smack you across the head with it.
Oh, you carried that off so well, buddy. Well done. Right, we're back to it.
I mean, thank God for live timing.
I know, right?
Thank God for live timing. I'm a consummate professional. That's why you got me on
Well, at
board,
least one of us is.
The less said about that, the better for Mr. Christie. Taxi. Sorry.
I'm slightly distracted there because I saw Jack Hare that time now down to 0.2 of a second. I wonder if Jack is just biding his time, if he's just waiting very, very patiently.
I did say about strategy, didn't I? Oh, Fraser Williamson nearly glances the wall coming out of Forrest's elbow there. So the biggest thing here is that Williamson knows that one mistake and it's all over. You know, there's no comeback.
Wait a minute. Alex, look at who's that in 3rd place. Who's just behind him now? That's definitely a lot closer for Lewis Ward. Oh, huge move up the inside from Jack Hare, and Jack Hare almost takes the win. Has to go wide, and he's going to have to give that place back to Fraser Williamson. That's going to put him down into danger of being overtaken by Lewis Ward. In fact, there goes Lewis Ward right outside. He's going to have a slow down penalty. Oh my goodness me! He went for broke, and it's all gone horribly, horribly wrong. And Lewis Ward moves up into 2nd place. And Jack Hare says goodbye and moves down into 3rd place.
It's not goodbye yet, David. We're only just under a third through this race. It's not done yet. It's not done until the checkered flag flies at the end of this race. That was just a sign of things to come. But look how quickly Jack Hare is back on the pace. He's going to close on Lewis Ward. Now, you look at the times that these guys have been setting, and it's been unrelenting. It has been a consistent, inhuman, Herculean pace, I might add. As look, Jack Hare now knows that he's got to get past Lewis Ward, because Lewis Ward, in the position that he's in at the moment, doesn't really factor in unless Jack Hare and Fraser Williamson have that moment. You know, Lewis Ward, he picked up 3 points in qualifying, and if something goes wrong big time, which means that he's like basically Piggy in the middle. He's got nothing to lose, but everything to gain. And in a 1 hour race, that can be deadly.
Do you know what I'm actually looking at here? Now I'm looking at the live timing, and actually Lewis Ward is faster than Fraser Williamson and Jack Hare on that last lap combined. Now, what I don't get is the fact that even on this lap he's faster than the leader right now. So Lewis Ward maybe being in that 3rd place, maybe being out of the dirty air and not pushing the leader, has actually saved his tyres. And also we're now coming up to traffic.
Yep, those good old back markers. Let's see who's up ahead, shall we? Because it looks like I think I spot a couple of missed Apex. Well, a couple of the missed Apex cars there. So yeah, that's going to be very, very interesting. There's Sean Dobie. That's Gary Brown. Oh, right in the path of Williamson. I did say something could happen, and someone else has got off just there as well. So Adam Brown, I think, has just had a moment. Fraser Williams. I did say. What did I say? What did I say?
Wow.
I said anything could happen. We just had that completely thrown out of nowhere, and we're now. Didn't I say? unpredictability.
Alex, I am going to back you up, mate. You did indeed say anything could happen. I did not see that one coming at all. Let's have a look here. Was it Gary Brown, actually? It was. Oh, my goodness me. Lost it completely of his own accord.
Look in the distance. Look in the distance. Watch again. Adam Brown comes hurtling at a rate of knots. He, like, literally, I think if he'd have gone any faster, he would have actually flown off into the back. Look, watch. This is going to be a heavy hit. Oh, that was a hefty hit.
Shall we go on board?
So, yeah. Just like, look.
Oh, my God!
Now, I don't know what happened there, but I think he got caught out as a result of it. And bang! That is a Porsche 718. Now, look, the left front wheel took the brunt of that impact. Now, I know this from having had a road-going incident on black ice, that as soon as the wheel takes the brunt of it, the suspension, the wheel hub, the brake disc, the lower arms take the brunt of it. And that is one big repair bill. But you know what this means, David?
I don't even want... how does this impact on the championship?
Right.
My brain is melting right now.
Okay. Lewis Ward is in first. This will put him on 4. Right, okay. I'm going to do this with the assistance of a... Okay. On 345 at the moment with 70 points. Puts him on 415. Jack Air. 367 plus 60. 427. Fraser Williamson currently in third. This means 422. 5 points in the favour of Jack Air. But it is about how hard Fraser Williamson fights back. Now this is where a champion can get crowned. Because look, Jack Air, he doesn't want second. He wants to round it off in the best way possible. And look how close he is. He was half a second quicker than Lewis Ward. The biggest thing that you've also got to contend with here is that Fraser Williamson has damage as a result of what happened between him and Gary Brown coming onto the front of the circuit, front of him on the circuit heading into the chase. So this is where it all counts. It is now in the hands of Jack Air just how hard he wants to push. Oh, he nearly goes up the inside through Corey Bend. Lewis Ward keeps it pinned round the outside. And again, Jack Air does not need to push. Look at the gap between him and Fraser Williamson. Williamson is going to start charging. I can guarantee you that for a moment. We've seen that all season. But it is about how stable Jack Air keeps that number 13. He doesn't need to go for it on Lewis Ward. He's got a 5-point advantage. The pendulum has swung in his favour because it was a 4-point advantage. That's a 9-point swing in his favour, as you can just see how hard Lewis Ward is pushing. He wants to keep himself... And look at it this way. If he was to finish like this right now, it would only be 12 points between the champion and the third place on the rostrum. So have a think about that, if you will.
Yeah, just having a look through the rest of the field here, and Fraser Williamson really hustling that car, pushing it to everything that he possibly can, and that gap is now just 6.5 seconds up to the leaders.
Yeah. So now I think Jack Air has decided to err on the side of caution, discretion, the better part of valour, as they head down Conrod Straight, heading towards the chase. Now, obviously, a couple of laps ago, we saw Lewis, we saw Jack Air going up the inside of Fraser Williamson through the second part of the chase and losing the lead, but having a slowdown penalty. And then a lap later, Fraser Williamson coming into drama. But as I said, Fraser Williamson is not one to give up. And just look at how close that gap is now. It was 8.2 seconds. It's now 6.5. So Fraser Williamson definitely has got the bit between the teeth. The fire is stoked in the belly of the number 369 Porsche. And I think we're going to have an absolute slobber knocker between the top three in the next few laps.
Yeah, I think you're going to be absolutely spot on with that one. The lap times are insane. 2:15 all round. They are faster than every single other car by at least a second and a half every single lap. Martin Buchan in 4th place, John Lang in 5th, Kieran Smart in 6th place ahead of Jordan Gronkowski. And the gaps now really starting to spread out among the field here, because we've got Scott Smith in front of a train of Michael Weddle and Anil Singh for 9th, 10th and 11th place. Well, we were promised drama here at Bathurst, and it's certainly not disappointed us.
Very true, because the biggest thing is that now again Jack Eyre trying to close as they're going up through Solman and down the dip in towards McPhillamy. You can just see how hard these drivers are pushing, because Lewis Ward, you know, look at the results. I mean, look at it this way: Lewis Ward was the victor at the single 60 back at Silverstone at round 3, a maximum score of 75 points. Okay, but you know what? He's been the one that we haven't really talked that much about coming into this in some respects, because you look at how quick he's pushing. He's now doing all the hard work. Jack Eyre now has just to sit along and enjoy the ride, so to speak. And now the gap is closing. Look, 0.3 of a second heading into the chase, less than 1/4 of a second, less than 2/10. Jack Eyre just really needs to use Lewis Ward as a marker, and that's what he's doing. He's playing the smart game. He's playing the long game. As they say, David, to finish first you must finish. And we're nearly halfway through this 60-minute race.
Difficult to believe, actually, that we're already nearly 30 minutes into this race. It feels like it's literally just started.
Well, let's keep on board with Jack Eyre at the moment, as we're now heading into the left-hander, turn 1, Hell Corner. And then the run up to Mountain Straight. They'll power out of the corner, up from 3rd into 4th gear at 150 kilometres an hour. Foot planted to the floor here as Fraser Williamson puts in a 2 minute 16.103, as we're going to hit nearly 140 miles an hour as they head into Quarry Bend, down from 5th into 3rd gear, using a bit of throttle and brake manipulation in order to help the car to rotate. These GT4 cars, they might be production based, but they are still very, very difficult to handle as they go through the cutting, then into Griffin's Mount, down the dip into Reed Park, and then into Solman before the run through to McPhillamy. So you can just see how much. Now let's have a look at the speeds as they're going to approach into McPhillamy. Through into Solman, a little bit of lift there at 4th gear, now through into McPhillamy at 185 kilometres an hour. Now the run towards Skyline, they're going to push at about 130, well, close to 125 miles an hour going into Skyline, now into the S's. Now this is where it gets really difficult, because you can see the back end of Lewis Ward's car tried to step out to the right hand side going through the first part of the S's. Now you can just see how quickly now look at the bottom right hand corner of your screens, ladies and gentlemen, because the gap was around 6.5 seconds. It's now increased by nearly 0.8, and you can just see how much quicker Jack Eyre is than Fraser Williamson as we go down, and you can just see the speeds that some drivers. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's crazy, absolutely crazy. Cameron Ritchie is the one with the fastest top speed of anybody. That's 267 kilometers an hour, and in miles per hour, that is 165 miles per hour. That is full-on commitment. I mean, you see GT3 cars going down there at about 180 heading into the chase. As now Jack Eyre looking menacing, and he's just gone 2.5 of a second quicker than Lewis Ward on that last lap. This slipstream is now helping Jack Eyre play the long game here at Mount Panorama. Fast approaching the halfway point of the race. Still mandatory pit stops, I think, are hopefully being served as Jordan Gronkowski jumps in the pits as we're halfway. 30 down, 30 to go here at the season finale at Mount Panorama.
What an incredible way to finish off the season right now, and this is just awesome stuff. I'm really so happy that this is going the way that it is, and Michael Weddle looks like he is still out as well, but I mean, he's down in 9th place just now. He's going to come out just ahead of John Gronkowski, as we see Scott Smith jumping into pit lane as well, as does Cameron Ritchie. So I mean, really, Fraser Williamson is he's in no man's land right now, because he's now, what's that, 7.2 seconds behind Jack Eyre, but that's 8 seconds behind your race leader.
No, it is. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's 7.8 seconds behind the leader. He's about 7.3 behind Jack Eyre. Is now, you can just see how much Lewis Ward is just trying. I think what these two want to do, they want to battle between themselves. You know, they don't want Fraser as part of it, because we've seen it before where Jack Eyre and Lewis Ward, once they've been in a contretemps with Fraser Williamson, one of them has ended off worse than anybody. But Lewis Ward, you know, I think wants to get one up on both title protagonists, because he sort of factors in, well, if I'm not going to win the championship, I'm damn sure going to win the races. Once again, Jack Eyre up the inside of Lewis Ward. This time, neatly keeps it there through the first part of the chase. Doesn't run wide and gets the lead. But Lewis Ward going under the Almirall Bridge, heading into Murray's Corner, gets the inside run as we now head on to lap number 15. And this is where we find out who has gone for the long game, who's going to blink first, who's kept the tyres more than the other. And so whoever blinks first, David, is the one that could be on the better strategy, maybe.
Yeah, but I think Jack Eyre, he's just got so much more determination and grit, and they're almost side by side as they come up the main straight here. Jack Eyre to the outside, and Jack Eyre looks like he's already got the move done before we even get to turn number 1, but it's going to be Lewis Ward with the inside line into Griffin's Bend. But there he goes, Jack Eyre then into the lead. And wow, that just shows how much he wanted to take the lead of that race. Okay,
another championship calculation then, I fear.
You're going to have so many bits of paper by the end of this.
No. I'm using one piece of paper, and effectively the championship permutation changes to this. Jack Eyre, effectively, with 70 points, will go on to 437. Fraser Williamson, who is 7.2 seconds behind Lewis Ward in second, goes on to 422. So that's 15 points. And then Lewis Ward will drop 10 points down to 405, but will still round out the top 3. But again, I think I just saw Jack Eyre going through, having a little bit of a sideways moment through the second half of the dipper. So whether the tyres are starting to drop off slightly, these guys have been pushing like crazy, haven't they?
Yeah, they certainly have, and there's only so much life that these tyres have got to give. And, for me, this is when it becomes a sort of points game, because Jack Eyre is now pushing that car, I would say, beyond the point of grip and adhesion. He's now pushing it right to the limit, and I would be wanting to make sure I've got the championship in the bag before I go and start taking unnecessary risks.
Well, as I said, it's about crossing the T's, dotting the I's. And that's what Jack Eyre's trying to achieve here. I mean, you look at it from this perspective. Before, Gary Brown came across the front of Fraser Williamson, it looked like Williamson was on course to just sort of do exactly what Jack Eyre's doing now. And you can see that Jack Eyre, that was a 2-minute 15.79. Lewis Ward, a 2-minute 16.51. And then Fraser Williamson, a 2-minute 16.518. So it looks like that as now we see the battle between John Lang and Martin Buchan. Now, John Lang's impressed me in this race, as to get ahead of Martin Buchan in that very bright pink number 35 Porsche. And John Lang has consistently kept going and has kept a good sort of monotony, let's say, a good amount of consistency to keep himself in the hunt. So realistically, John Lang is one of the standout performers for me. I mean, Kieran Smart again leading the way in the BMWs, as he's done a really good job in this race. He's kept out of harm's way. Michael Weddle now enters the pits for his mandatory stop, but it's about what's going to happen between the cat and mouse game. You know, the Porsche car chess that we've got coming up in terms of pit stops. So it's about who's going to pit first. Is it going to be Jack Eyre? Is it going to be Lewis Ward? Is it Fraser Williamson? Are they going to put enough fuel in? Because you don't want to underfuel. And that's the biggest problem. You know, when these drivers have been pushing like crazy, they'll put the tyres on. If they don't put enough fuel in, the car's going to conk out on the last lap. And that's going to really, if anyone might remember, when I think it was Jamie Whincup a few years ago when they were running the camouflage Red Bull Holdens, and Chaz Mostert got past him with a lap to go. On the final lap, they were coming through the through Skyline, through the S's and through the Dipper, and Forest Elbow, Mostert just had his number big time. And that's what can be the difference between winning and losing, my friend.
Yep, it's all in the little details. It's all in the strategy. I've got to say, I'm really impressed with Lewis Ward right now. He's doing what he needs to do. He's just keeping the number of Jack Eyre right now. And I've got to be honest, Fraser Williamson, I don't see him doing anything before the pit stops now. I think his tyres have gone. I think he could do with staying in a little bit longer just to make sure that that damage gets sorted, and leaving these two to their own devices, because if Lewis Ward somehow gets the jump on Jack Eyre, I think Jack has not got the temperament to let that settle down.
Yeah, actually, funny enough, I was...
Sorry, just a second there. I've just got a little notice here about Michael Weddle. Now, what's he done here? This is on the entrance to turn number 2. Oh, that is significant damage to that car there. So that looks like that's Michael Weddle back to pit lane. And what has happened here to Cameron Ritchie? Oh, almost into the back there, and just tries to get out of the way there.
Oh, he sliced it.
Yeah.
Oh, he nearly went Tokyo Drift through Murray's corner. If he kept hold of that one, that would have been a ripper, as they say in Australia. But I'm just actually having a look at the footage as I'm trying to keep my eyes on the screen as well. When Chas Mostert and Paul Morris won the Super Cheap Bathurst 1000. And it was the team at 888 were giving Jamie Whincup the numbers, and they were sort of like, right, go, you're on reserve, save fuel, and it was it's just like I watch it as one of the most pivotal moments in one of the biggest events, the Bathurst, the Super Cheap Bathurst 1000, such an iconic event, of course, with the Liquid Molly. Bathurst 12 hours that happens normally every January, which is set to return to Mount Panorama next year. But yeah, it was just like seeing those moments of drivers going through. As Jack Eyre still keeping about 0.6 of a second. Whincup was getting the numbers, as I say. So right, okay, Lewis Ward blinked first. So Jack Eyre, I think because he was running behind Lewis Ward and Fraser Williamson, he now has that opportunity to go that little bit longer into the stint. And if Williamson does the same, right, okay, Williamson has just come through Murray's corner. So these two playing the long game. So Fraser Williamson is looking for the race to come to him, not for him to go for the race.
Well, plots and chess and storylines all unfolding here in the next 20 minutes. Jack Eyre currently in the happy seats right now, going through into turn number 2, leads the race, and this is going to be awesome stuff to see how this one develops. John Lang managed to pull himself up into third place just ahead of Lewis Ward, but John Lang still has to pit just now, I fear, and that is going to put him away back down the order. So it's still with over half of with under 20 minutes left to go of the race. It's Jack Eyre from Fraser Williamson, John Lang ahead of Lewis Ward, and then Kieran Smart up into 5th place in that BMW ahead of Sam Harper, Martin Buchan, John Gronkowski in 8th place, Anil Singh and Jacqueline Chalmers in 10th. So what an awesome race we've had so far.
Yeah, looks like we've got a guest in the commentary box, I think, possibly.
Let's have a look here. Oh, it is. It's none other than Mr. Michael Weddle. Michael, what on earth happened to you?
I reached into the talent bag and it was empty.
It was empty. So, like in BTCC, you've drawn an 11 or a 12.
Just with no practice, it's quite a hard track.
I think you did an Alex Wirtz there, mate. If anyone remembers that from 2016, I believe, where the pit lane reporter asked Alex Wirtz, said, "So what happened?" "Oh, well, I just ran out of talent," and unfortunately, yeah, that was quite a hefty hit. I mean, it's we were saying in the build-up to this, Michael, that Bathurst is a track that does, you make a mistake and it bites hard big time, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%. I mean, you've got the walls so close to each other. I think I had too much curve on the right-hand side and it just bounced me over into the left. Steering damage, so there you go.
So have we got a guest commentator then for the rest of the evening, do we?
I'll just sit here and have a wee watch what's going on.
That's this is where all the pros sit. That's what it is, buddy. Right, we've got a race leader into pit lane then, and it starts to unfold. We've got a couple of other cars in there as well. Fraser Williamson into pit lane as well. So let's see how these pit stop times are going to go down just now. We'll fire that on. And Fraser Williamson just comes to a stop just now. Now, Jack Hare's already been in for 10 seconds at this point. So that is a great stop from Jack Hare there.
Yeah, 12.2 seconds. 10.8 for Fraser Williamson. Now, this is where you sort of can gauge an idea of how many, because Lewis Ward, 11.1 second pit stop. And it's about how much these drivers have fueled. And I think... in some respects, you can look at it from this aspect, David, that maybe Jack Hare has decided to overfuel ever so slightly just to give that window of opportunity towards the end of the race. I mean, as John Lang now exits the pits, looks like Kieran Smart's doing the same, so Martin Buchan and Jordan Gronkowski promoted to 5th and 6th as a result of the pit stops. But look who's on the back bumper of Jack Hare. Lewis Ward.
Remember though as well, Jack Hare may have just got out in front, but he's also now got cold tyres. So Lewis Ward has got the heat in the tyres. He's got the momentum right now. He's definitely in a good place to make a move. It's not going to be up here through Skyline. It's going to be after and through the later half of the circuit as they come along the Conrod Straight. I would imagine he's going to dip into the toe, and Lewis Ward is going to try and make the move.
Yeah, I think when they're pushing over 265 kilometres an hour, Lewis is going to have the run here. That'll give him easily probably another 5 to 8 clicks on top speed as they now go through Forest Elbow, both running to the wall on the right-hand side of the corner, coming out of it as close as they dare. And you'll just see now, it's 0.4 tenths of a second. It's down a little bit now. It's getting to... close to 3.5 tenths, and as they get towards the first part of the chase, now the gap really decreases as they go into the braking zone. Gap now is around about 2 tenths. So I think next time, or maybe the time after, David, that we could see a possible challenge for the lead here, as Lewis Ward looking to try and force the issue, sternly speaking, but fairly speaking, for the lead.
Yeah, for sure. And Fraser Williamson is a whole world of trouble right now, 9.3 seconds behind the leaders right now, and he's going to have to get a move on. Although in reality he actually doesn't have to do a thing, because he's not going to gain that time back. All he has to hope for is that the two of them in front just wipe each other out, and he can just laugh on by as he drives on. So there's nothing really more that he can do right now.
No, he's just got to wait and bide his time. I mean, we're coming into the last 15, 16 minutes of the season. And effectively that Jack Hare, if he finishes second, he's got it. Irrespective. I mean, you look at it from this perspective that Lewis Ward, if he wins the race, I mean, hats off to him, 73 points after, what's so far been an enthralling final single 60 so far here at Bathurst as they go through into Solman, now through carrying the speed, carrying the momentum around 4th gear, 190 to 200 kph through McPhillamy Part. Oh, Jack Hare gets a little bit of a sideways twitch, and now Lewis Ward looking through into Skyline. You don't stick your nose in there, I'm afraid.
He's a brave boy.
That's a set of cojones. And that's twice I've said that in this broadcast.
That's fine.
There you go.
That's fine, mate. But that has cost him the momentum because he's now down to 0.7 of a second. But Lewis Ward, I don't know if it's the setup of that car, but he is just looking so much more planted on the average through the lap there.
I think the biggest turn, when you first of all go through the cutting, then you go through Griffin's Mount, Reed Park, Silman, and then you get the run into McPhillamy and Skyline. That's where you'll see how these cars are planted, and then also coming into the chase. So you could just see, look, that was an unsettle and a half there. Lewis Ward going towards the outside, coming through the second half of the chase, because Lewis Ward had a big pitch sideways, and as a result of that, Jack Eyre had a pitch sideways, and Lewis Ward has now retaken the lead with just under 15 minutes to go. How's about them apples?
Wow, that was a huge move there, and we saw that Jack Eyre just pushing himself in the car a little bit too far. And we know Jack Eyre, we've seen him all through this race. He's not going to take that line down. He's going to take that as like a red rag to a bull, and I wonder if this is where we're going to see Jack Eyre become Jack Eyre's number one enemy.
Well, I think the biggest thing that we have to remember is that you might be competing with other race drivers on the circuit, but the person you're really competing against is yourself. And if you push yourself too hard, you can be on the receiving end of a haymaker that you might have thrown at yourself that you don't really like.
And those are the worst ones, Alex, because you're sitting there in a wrecked car and you've got nobody but yourself to blame.
Yep. You can push as hard, to your heart's content, but it is about how you decide. Now we're going to see this again. Just keep an eye on Lewis Ward and Jack Eyre. Look at the difference in the carry of speed. Okay, you can see that Jack Eyre gets a bit closer to the wall going through Sulman, but then going into Skyline through McPhillamy, you just see Lewis Ward's car, and that is just so much more planted. Whereas it looks like the spring loading, the damper ratios on Jack Eyre's car just looks to be a bit more springy, just to give it that extra bit of rotation assistance. But sometimes that can actually hinder the performance of the car. It could lose him like 100th here, 200ths there, maybe half a tenth.
Let's have a look here at Cameron Ritchie. Something has happened to him, and that's on the entrance to turn 2. And the car again just over rotates, and he's into one wall and then into another. Oh no, we've got a moment because Martin Buchan has binned it, and that's through turn 6.
That's going up towards the car. Oh, that's going up big time. Oh, rotates the car 360, and through goes Kieran Smart as a result. And that was heading into Solomon and McPhillamy. So Martin Buchan drops it at one of the fastest parts of the circuit, and now Lewis Ward is with just under 12 minutes remaining. He's got a 1.2 second gap. Now this is where Jack Eyre knows, okay, I can beat 9/10 or a second slower than Lewis Ward, but I've got to watch out for how Fraser responds, because the gap between them is 8.5 seconds, and you can bet your bottom dollar that if Fraser Williamson has got the pace in that Porsche, he will start turning up the wick big time. But at the moment, Jack Eyre did a 2 minute 17.18. Fraser Williamson only 0.41 of a second quicker. So it depends on how quickly he wants to push and how hard he needs to push in order to close it up to Jack Eyre. Because if I'm honest here, I'm gonna do another calculation here. So effectively, if Fraser Williamson gets 60 points and he finishes second, that puts him on 430. Okay, let's say, for instance, Lewis Ward wins. Okay, so he gets the full 70, puts him on 415. If Fraser Williamson gets second position, that's 430 points to his credit. If Jack Eyre finishes in third, this is where it gets really, really interesting. So you got 360.
Oh, now Jack Eyre is getting held up by, is that Jacqueline Chalmers that's up in front there?
It is.
Oh, and that is not going to work out too well, because that gap is now coming down 7.5 seconds, and Jack Eyre's going to have lost all that momentum.
Okay, Look at it from this perspective here, David. If Jack Eyre finishes in third place behind Fraser Williamson, Williamson will win the title by 11 points. But we still have just under 10 minutes to go. Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
That sounds almost like wishful thinking, Alex. Anything can happen.
Well, I did say unpredictability was the key word coming into the season finale.
Yeah, but then you did say that earlier on, and I never ever saw that happening to Fraser Williamson earlier on during the race. I've got to say though, I mean, fair play to him. He's managed to keep that car going on. I think actually we should maybe spend a little bit of time looking further down the grid here and give some airtime to some of the other drivers here. John Lang doing a cracking job down in fourth place there with Kieran Smart. He is about 10 seconds behind John Lang right there, and then it's Martin Buchan, Sam Harper in 7th place, Anil Singh in 8th. Now I think that's one of his best performances this season. Cracking job from Anil up into 8th place there. Scott Smith into P9. Again, just a really solid drive for that BMW, and then Jacqueline Chalmers in 10th place. So that means up to your top 10 have been lapped.
It just showed. I said that the circuit does bite. There's now, you can see Fraser Williamson. Just looking at his lap times, Jack Eyre had a 2 minute 17.52 on the last lap. Fraser Williamson, a 2 minute 16.77, and that effectively is that's 2.5 tenths quicker. So Fraser Williamson is trying to close, and the gap now is just under 7.5 seconds. But it is down to how consistent Jack Eyre needs to be. Now, one of the big things he doesn't need to do is to push like crazy, because we saw it earlier with Grant Angus, didn't we? Going through the S's. You know, one hit a curb too hard, and that will be a pinball wizard experience that Jack Eyre will not want. And that could put him into the clutches of Fraser Williamson, who is closing. But when they come to...
I've got to be honest though, Alex, I think Fraser is definitely closing. I don't know if it's going to be closing at a fast enough rate, but once Jack Eyre sees that gap coming down under 5 seconds, that's a whole lot of mental pressure and a whole lot of looking over your shoulder that's going to be going on Jack Eyre.
Yeah, he's the one that's looking in his mirrors now. Fraser Williamson has got the number 13 in his crosshairs. That's his target. He needs to beat him to win the championship. And with just under 7.5 minutes remaining, the window, the light at the end of the tunnel for Fraser Williamson is quickly closing. And now we're going to see the lap times. 2 minutes 16.295 for Lewis Ward. 2 minutes 16.330 from Jack Eyre. 2 minutes 16.185 from Fraser Williamson. That's about a 10.5 off. But he needs to be closing that significantly. As I've just seen Lewis Ward flash the lights at one of the back markers just up ahead. So he just wants to get through the traffic. But the back markers now, as that's, I think that is Sean Dobie just up ahead of Jack Eyre. And Sean's currently running in 13th position. And Sean quickly gets out of the way. Nicely done by the 159. So Sean, that looks to be his best performance of this season, up in 13th place, up for 3 places from 16th. So it is about the back marker traffic now, because that's another thing that we had to factor into this. You know, it wasn't about the elevation changes, not just about the elevation changes, about your strategy. It was about also how you dealt with the track, the lateral side loads of the tyres, but also the back markers is another thing. And when you look at it, the top 7, all but the top 7, have been lapped so far.
Yeah, it's an incredible pace that we've seen right now, and I'm really not liking what I'm seeing from Jack Eyre's car. That car just looks way too twitchy on this course for my liking, and you can see that in the times that he's putting in. That last lap round there was a 2:16.33. Fraser Williamson actually lapping faster than your race leader, but you would be forgiven for seeing Lewis Ward actually taking his foot off of the gas pedal here, and he's already on the way to start what must be his penultimate lap here at Bathurst. So a really strong performance for him, and we see Fraser Williamson now dropping further back, 7.8 seconds behind Jack Eyre. and it's looking like the final chapter has been written in this story.
We've had more twists and tales than the never-ending story here in the SMRC eSports iRacing Championship. But for it to sort of go down to the wire, you know, people might say, well, it's been rather processional in the last few bits of it. But the thing, what you've got to understand for those watching at home is that these drivers sometimes says, the Rethink racing car. I think that's Gary Brown just had a bit of a moment. Now, that was the car that went across the front of Fraser Williamson and changed the whole complexity of the championship. And I know for a fact that Fraser Williamson will be flashing those headlights well and truly saying, right, you're not going to do it to me twice. Thank you very much. I need to chase some people down, and the car keeps out of the way.
Yeah, good stuff. And to be fair, in Gary's defence, he was just a passenger in that. He was already onto the grass, the car was going sideways, and on another note, it looks like Ian Erasmus has crashed. And that is down through Skyline. That car looks very, very unstable. Down into the left-hander, through into the right-hander there. Oh, lock of the brakes, and the car is already gone. And that is not what you want to see. But he gets it going again, so yeah, no harm, no foul.
Yeah, it didn't really hit the wall there, to be completely honest with you. As through McPhillamy comes Fraser Williamson. You know, came into this with just a 3-point advantage. Lewis Ward, you know, in many respects, has done a fantastic job just to keep in front of the two drivers at the top of the table coming into this round. You know, it's 3 points between Williamson and Jack Eyre. And Lewis Ward, you know, came into this with a 24-point disadvantage to Fraser Williamson. And he has responded to close out the season with some sort of bragging rights to be able to say, well, out of everybody that competed this evening, I tamed the mountain.
Yeah, and that is bragging rights to say the least. It really, really is. It's been a wonderful, wonderful event, and I'm just honestly so thrilled that it's worked out like this.
Well, I think now we're going to go on to the penultimate lap. So we've got 57 minutes and 15 seconds completed. Hang on a second. I think
we'll get one more.
No, I think we'll get this and one more.
Yeah. So
we are effectively on the penultimate lap of the race as Jack Eyre puts in a 2 minutes 16.022. Oh, now that is a pretty quick lap. That was over 5.5 tenths of a second quicker than Lewis Ward on that last lap alone. So whilst Lewis Ward is thinking, yeah, I've got 2.5 seconds between me and Jack, Jack's got other ideas. But I mean, if he had another 3 to 4 laps in his pocket, I think that Lewis Ward would probably be looking in the rearview mirrors. But I think it's just a casual glance in them at the moment because it's been one of those races where we knew the attrition was going to hit. It hit quite hard in the first 20 minutes on the cusp of the first third, and it changed what we were looking forward to, a grandstand finale. We certainly have got one here this evening. But Lewis Ward has just been absolutely a stellar performer here in many respects.
Yeah, he certainly has. And what a fantastic, fantastic event this has been. Really, really shown how it's done. And yeah, I mean, it's been an exemplary drive, and Jack Eyre, give him credit, he's really, really tried to bring things back here. But yeah, I think this is going to be how it pans out. We'll definitely get another lap after this one. But what a race we have been treated to tonight, Alex.
Yeah, definitely the case, David. It's been an enthralling inaugural SMRC eSports iRacing Championship. And just to see the development of the drivers over the course of the 8 rounds. We've had this is the second of the double 60s, all the other 2 30-minute flat out sprints, and it's just been enthralling action. As now Lewis Ward will come through into Murray's Corner for the penultimate lap onto the 27th and final lap of the race. Just 1.7 seconds. Oh, look at that howitzer of a lap from Jack Eyre there. A 2 minute 15.635. Jack Eyre, I think he might have heard me a little bit earlier on, as there goes Lewis Ward, flashing the headlights at Scott Smith to say, come on, sunshine, out of the way, please.
And remember, the other thing that we've got to look into as well, Alex, is of course the driver of the day.
Definitely, there's 2 or 3 drivers that have really come on my radar as a result of this race, and I'm not going to divulge publicly who they are, but there's been some stellar performances and some really good ones. You know, some drivers that have managed to do it, as we have gone over 60 minutes. Up the hill goes Lewis Ward in the number 98. Gap between him and Jack Eyre now just over around 2 seconds as he goes through Sorman for the final time. Now through into the run at the left-hander at McPhillamy Park as we head towards Skyline. On board we go with the number 98 from Meraki Racing, down into the S's, through into the Dipper. So just a handful of corners to go. Now into the second phase of the Dipper, down into the left-hander at Forest Elbow, and then round the corner. He powers out of it, up another gear, through the rev range, accelerating to VMAX, down Conrod Straight. It has been an exemplary performance by the number 98 Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 MR Club Sport of Lewis Ward, who, despite having all the odds thrown against him, will be in the top 3 at the end of the inaugural Scottish Motor Racing Club iRacing eSports Championship, as now under the Armorall Bridge for the final time he comes. One more corner to negotiate. The checkered flag will wave for our race victor, Lewis Ward, but coming through in second position, your inaugural champion, it is Jack Eyre. Wow, David. Wow.
Oh, my heart goes out to Fraser Williamson to be beaten like that. Just, 7 seconds is what separated our championship when it comes down to it. Amazing stuff, and a fantastic result. Every single one of these drivers should have their head held very high, apart from Michael Weddle, because obviously quitting out halfway through. Michael, that's just not on, mate.
You just threw him under the bus, didn't you? Big time.
I wanted to watch it. I wanted to watch the action unfold.
Michael,
see much from back there.
What was it like watching it as opposed to actually, because you don't get a lot of chance to actually, other than re-watching it, how different was it?
You see a lot more that's going on. I noticed Jordan had a big off at the chase. I think the stream missed it. Too much speed, just carried off, didn't break in time. I think he was trying to pass Martin, and just went right off into the wall. So you see a lot more, so it's better.
Yeah, you certainly do.
But looking at the provisional championship permutations, by just 5 points, a total of 427, Jack Eyre becomes your inaugural Scottish Motor Racing Club eSports iRacing champion. 5 ahead of a well-deserved runner-up, Fraser Williamson, on 422. And it was just 12 points between the top 3. Sam Harper's trying to do a J-turn here on the pit straight. Come on, Sam.
He's did a cool trickle.
Come on, remember me? Come on, Sam, J-turn it. Come on, J-turn it. Everyone's spinning donuts here at Mount Panorama, but yeah, even though Lewis Ward, by taking the victory, 73 points for the 98 at the end of this race, 12 points off of the inaugural champion as Anil Singh crosses the line. So Lewis Ward takes the win. Jack Eyre, your inaugural champion. Fraser Williamson, a credible vice champion in third place ahead of John Lang, Kieran Smart, Martin Buchan, Sam Harper, Anil Singh, Scott Smith and Jacqueline Chalmers rounding out the top 10. But David, look,
I mean, I've got to be honest.
I'm sorry.
Sam Harper.
Just for style points of the season, Sam Harper has definitely decided that. But I think I'm absolutely spent. Obviously, the points, it's double points this time around. So Jack Eyre, a deserved champion. I think Fraser Williamson, Lewis Ward, they all deserve to win that title tonight. But it was down to First, the bravado. Second, the cojones, trying to go up the inside of Fraser Williamson through the chase within the first 15 minutes. But he kept it planted. He knew what he needed to do. As Sam Harper, I'm sorry, but you're not part of the Swift family there, mate. He's just trying to see if he can. I wonder if he's in his sim seat at the moment, one shoulder over, one hand on the steering wheel, just looking behind him, saying, "Hello, boys."
Yes, that is. I think that's exactly what is what's going on just now. But yeah, what a fantastic result that is. Jack Hare, he must be absolutely delighted. I can't wait to actually get him into to chat, and we'll have a little word with some of the drivers. We'll take a very short break and do some confirmation. Me and Alex have got to go and decide who gets the final Torque Raceware driver of the day.
You know what? We're going to add a third party to this mix. Michael, would you do the honours
you get to decide
and join in and help us on this one?
For the driver of the day.
Yes.
Yep.
We'll do it off air. Give us 2 seconds, and we will be back in just a moment. Welcome back then, and we pick the bones out of an amazing final race. And Alex, you did an amazing job calling that final there, and calling out our brand new champion Jack Hare. And you know what? It's the final race of the season, so let's do something very different indeed. Let's just bring everyone in for a chat at the same time. So we have 6 different drivers. We thought we'll make it a party, bring everyone in. Ladies and gentlemen, very good evening. We have got Fraser Williamson, we've got Jack Hare, we've got Martin Buchan, Scott Smith, Tom Jones, and Jacqueline Chalmers was in here. She's got stage fright, that's what it is. Oh no, here she comes. She's trying to get in, but yeah.
Well, I think really I'm going to hand the floor over to Mr. Christie to conduct this one, because I'm just going to listen and just see what unfolds, because I think at the end of the day, every single driver did a fantastic job, especially to those that are in the chat with us. Well done, guys and girls. Great racing all the way through the season, but also to get around Bathurst and still bring it to the finish. Just on behalf of myself, effectively, well done. Great job.
Cheers. Thank you very much, Alex. Right, let's start right at the top, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat. I want to hear a huge round of applause. Well done to our inaugural SMRC Summer Champion, Jack Hare, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. That was far more effective than I thought. Well done, Jack. Right, how does it feel, buddy?
Well, lost for words, really. It's, circumstances that meant I was kind of robbed of a fight for the victory, to be fair. I never wanted to win like this, but to be fair, I think if the positions were switched and Fraser was fighting, and I got took out, it's a shame that it's racing.
Now talk us through that setup, because from myself and Alex's point of view, that car looked very twitchy indeed. Were you on quite a stiff setup?
I started with a quite stiff set, but I think, to be fair, the bump preload was on 2 out of 10, so it was quite a soft set, but it was right on the edge in terms of grip. But I don't know, compared to other cars on iRacing, I just seem to be able to find the limit of this bit easier. So I don't know, I just quite gel with it, and it's very similar to the sets I've been running in the races for the majority of the season. So yeah, maybe a little higher in terms of ride height here, because there's some pretty big curves, and you bottom out at the on the way down the mountain. So yeah.
I've got two big questions for you, and it's after 9 o'clock, so you can answer it how you like. Now, when Fraser was caught up in that incident earlier on during the race, what exactly was going through your head?
Well, I don't know. I didn't celebrate. I wasn't happy because I felt that I had the pace to take it to him today. But at the same time, just a relief of pressure knowing that, you know, the biggest rival in terms of championship points is behind me now. So.
And any big celebration plans for tonight?
Have a couple of drinks, have a laugh with the lads, and watch some footage back, and yeah, enjoy watching the stream when we get a chance.
Excellent. Well done, buddy. Well done. Congratulations then to our champion, Jack Eyre. And we have to speak to our championship runner-up, and Fraser Williamson. That was absolutely horrific halfway through. I mean, talk us through it from your point of view.
Car went off down the chase. Car rejoined across the track down the chase. I was in the car's way again. It's not an SMRC event without it, let's be honest. It's annoying to lose it like that, but at the same time, I made too many mistakes over the past 8 rounds or whatever to claim that ruined me. So, yeah, Jack deserved to win, let's be honest, so it happens.
It certainly does in sim racing, and I mean, you put up an epic fight that last 10-15 minutes there, where you were actually catching up with Jack, and that gap was starting to come down. Did the tyres start to go away from you in the end?
I wasn't paying attention. I think Jack was just sitting chilling. He didn't have to pass Lewis to win the championship.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to win the race. Sorry to butt in here, Fraser, but I want to stick up for you as well, because no doubt you were carrying a lot of damage for the remainder of that race. To pull the laps off you surprised me, to be fair. I think you kept with me after that accident all the way up until the pit stop window, and I think I may have gained a couple seconds on you there, but other than that, the gap stayed the same. So
yeah, I
did drop back behind Lewis because I knew that I could win the championship, but part of me still wanted to go, so I was giving everything right until the checkered flag, mate.
There's a great point actually, guys. Given that it was the final round, how easy is it to keep your eyes on that prize rather than the car in front of you?
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult, to be fair. This season sort of taught me to kind of not focus on anything other than what you're currently doing. So I was quite calm, surprisingly, for the majority of the race, and I was quite happy to sit behind Fraser and Lewis, save a bit of fuel, and you know.
Well done again, Fraser. Commiserations on becoming runner-up in the championship. Not how we wanted it to end, but we look forward to seeing you again on track. Let's move down. We'll just go in alphabetical order. Good evening, Miss Jackie Chalmers.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, mate.
Brilliant. Yeah, cool.
So, talk us through that race and the championship, Jackie, because you've been coming on in leaps and bounds, haven't you?
Oh yeah, aye. So this race, I qualified 10th. I was impressed with my time, but I had an incident with a white car. Who was that?
That narrow it down, unfortunately. I wasn't. That could have been anyone. In fact, just blame Michael Weddle. It was probably his fault.
Yeah. So I just went on continuously, and I ended up finishing 10th anyway. So that was a good result.
Yep. And have you enjoyed yourself this season?
Aye, yeah.
Excellent.
I think, yeah. I seem to be improving gradually. I think next season I'm gonna totally take these guys on and stuff.
Oh, that's fine words, Jack here, and Fraser Williamson. I better watch their back then because Jackie Chalmers is coming for you. Jackie, thank you very much for taking part in the season. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you part of it, and we look forward to the next one that we have you along with.
Aye, no problem. See ya.
So, John Lang, hello, Mr. Fourth Place. Where did that come from?
Hello guys, I do not know. I was quite nervous about this one, and but yeah, it seemed to go right. I didn't get, there was 0 contact incident points, no wall contacts, or at least that gave me a point, no car contacts. So yeah, absolutely buzzing with that one. Fantastic.
And of all the places to do it, it's at Bathurst as well, where you think it's going to be an absolute scramble fest.
Yeah, my first race there as well, so it was a bit daunting in practice, taking the wing mirrors off quite a lot, and yeah, managed to settle in. I managed to pull out a decent gap through the pit stops, and then I just tried to settle in and just kept pulling away, so I was quite impressed with that.
And obviously it's been a decent season for you. That puts you up, I believe, into around about 6th place or something like that in the championship, so it's not been a bad day at the office for you.
So 6 is absolutely fantastic.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, for all of these guys, they're all really fast. It's been, I think, when I came in, just everybody's racing really hard, and I had to really change how aggressive I was, how much space I gave everybody, and yeah, it's worked for me. I've come, I did the maths before the race. Like, I needed to finish because obviously the points drop off from the top. I said, I'm never going to get up to 6th at Bathurst, so as long as I finish 2 positions ahead of Martin and 2 positions ahead of Kieran, I'd get that 6th place. But then I had to redo my numbers because I came 4th, and, and I got more points than I expected. So,
well,
yeah.
A brilliant evening nonetheless, John. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the season, buddy, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks a lot, and thanks to all teammates as well. It's been fantastic. I love running with everybody else and getting the practice in together. It's great.
Excellent, well done, buddy. So there we go. We'll bring somebody else in. Martin Buchan, let's have a quick chat with you, Mister, because you finished 6th in that race, and yeah, that was a fantastic performance through the season.
It wasn't bad. Like, I mean, I thought I'd have John as well. To be honest, when I passed him, I was like, oh, I'm ahead of him. Right, I'll sort him off and crack on, and then it all just went tits up after that. But yeah, it was good. I mean, still really enjoyed it, and I mean, to finish on this place with 1 crash, I'll take that any day of the week.
Martin, I've got to apologise to you, buddy, because you were the only car that had a paint job that changed this week, and I forgot to go and update it. So unfortunately, I've also got to then apologise to Ed Porter, who was absolutely robbed of having his wonderful face displayed through the course of the race. So I do apologise about that.
So sorry, I'm going to cut in here. So you dropped another clanger as long with being as
mate. Tonight has just been one big clanger fest from start to finish.
It's the Christie Clanger Fest, ladies and gentlemen. It's been declared. Sorry. Season finale, but so you're excused, mate. It does happen. You'll have to get some shots for Ed Porter's benefit there.
Just very quickly, I don't know if you're noticing chat there. Fraser Williamson has decided that he's deleting GT4. So if SMRC do another series, can it please be LMP2? Yeah, let's do an LMP and a GT a class there. But Martin, I mean, it's been a really solid season, and you've had some really strong results there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not on the pace like Fraser and Jack and all that. They're just aliens, to be honest, at this. And then it's crazy when you hear Fraser saying, "Oh, doesn't like GT4." I'm like, what? I'm like, you don't like it? You're still 2 seconds a lot quicker. It's mad, but
it's disgusting, isn't it? When they're like, "Yeah, I don't like it very much, but you're still like way better than I am."
It's crazy, but it's good fun though. But no, I mean, it's been I don't know. I've had some good races, and then I've had my incidents. Let's say. I mean, I've been on that protest sheet enough times, but that's how it goes, you know. But I want my money back, David, because you're not putting my liveries on now. Crazy.
I will not arrange that for you. But Martin, thank you so much for taking part in the season. It's been an absolute pleasure having you in, and look forward to having you on again.
Cheers, David, and cheers to you and Alex for running the broadcast. It's been amazing to watch when I watch it back. And roll on next season. Let's do it again, boys.
Woohoo! Thank
Sounds
you
like a
very
plan
much for
to me.
that. Right, let's see. Right, we're going to have to speak to Cameron Ritchie because he sneaked in here above the queue, above everyone else. Cameron, I saw you coming up on my timing screens as Cameron Ritchie has crashed. Cameron Ritchie has gone off track. Slightly eventful race for you.
Yeah, well, as usual, I do my best to try to qualify well and usually qualify pretty near the back, and on this occasion I'm very happy that I was. I just thought, oh no, I'm not good enough for this, I'll just hang back and see if I can pick some off. And eventually, my problem was, it was the leaders coming up behind and me going offline to let them pass, and it just totally threw you. Ended up going off and hitting tyre walls and all sorts of things. Very difficult.
So I was going to ask if you enjoyed the race, but I think that's pretty much summed everything up there for it. But what was your favourite race of the season?
You know what? I think it was that one. I dreaded this one. I just thought there's no way I'm going to be able to keep this thing on the circuit. But that overall was the best race for me. I really enjoyed it. Absolutely brilliant. Good fun.
Excellent, good stuff. Thank you very much for being an awesome part of the season, and we'll see you next time, Cameron.
Yeah, thanks very much, and thanks to all you guys for organising this. It's absolutely brilliant, and I really hope there's another one coming up. Brilliant. Thanks, guys.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. Right, Scott Smith. Hello, mister.
How's it going, David?
Yeah, not too bad, buddy. Right, you have you've thoroughly impressed me this season. You just a very, very strong series of consistent results, Scott, and another top 10 finish.
Yeah, I am just plodding away doing my thing. The top 10 there, told you I would get one by the end of the season, so check on that.
So what was it like in the BMW tonight?
You know what, if I was to give it an analogy, it would be like I was a rubber duck in a bathtub. I was just bobbing away, bobbing away, bobbing away. So bouncy, it was horrible.
Yeah, it's a very, very difficult track, and the suspension really makes you work for it. I mean, it's been it's been a long season for you. So what's been your race that's really stood out for you?
The Road Atlanta for me. I absolutely love Road Atlanta as a circuit, and I think I got quite a good result there. So yeah, that was by far the best for me. This 1 hour thing was more of a endurance. I didn't like that so much. The inevitable happened. Lap 5, I made contact in the wall at the top, and as soon as you're carrying any sort of damage on an endurance race, you're down on top speed, and the lead pack just run away and gap you, and that's what happened to me. I just started dropping back and left it to my pit stop to go in for some repairs. So the hour long thing, not so much. I prefer the 2 sprint races. Let's keep that.
Are you looking forward to going back to the legends that we had last year?
I'll drive whenever you throw at me, mate.
I like the idea that was thrown in chat, LMP2s and MX5s. That sounds like a decent combination.
Oh yeah, I can just imagine the closing speeds, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, buddy. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the championship this year, and good luck for the next season.
Yeah, superb. Just same as what the rest of the guys are saying. Thank you to the SMRC, yourself and Alex for all the commentating and putting on a great broadcast. We couldn't do it without yous, so thank yous, and thanks to all the guys that I race with. It's been fantastic, and I hope if we do have another season, see yous all on track.
Excellent, good stuff. Thank you very much, Scott Smith there. We've only got 2 drivers left to go, so let's do this as a group affair. Sean Dobie and Tom Jones. Sean, it's safe to say you had a little bit easier of a race than poor Tom did there.
Yeah, I think so. It went wrong for me at the start. I ran the wall in lap 3 in the S's. Had to come in for an early pit stop, but after that, managed to kind of keep it on the black stuff. I was hoping to chase Tom down, but then the leaders caught up behind me and sort of hit the wall again. So and I needed to pit for fuel anyway. So it was a good race overall.
And Tom, what about yourself? Because you came up in my activity log quite a few times.
Yeah, well, I think I managed to beat the amount of practice I did at Interlagos for this one.
You got 2 laps in then?
No. It was even more impressive than that. It was a minute after the race started was the first time I drove the GT4 at this track, because I had an absolute nightmare getting the game launched, and then it launched, and I was like, I was talking to the guys, and they're like, oh yeah, we're halfway around the track. I was like, nice.
so that literally is a baptism of fire for you.
Yeah, I was like, right, I've got to treat this as a qualifying session for the next 40 minutes till I have to hit the pit stop. And promptly, I think it was like 4 laps in, I decided to get familiar with all the different barriers around Bathurst. So yeah, it was very entertaining. And then I span out down the chase, and I was at one point, and I think I had Sam Harper chasing me, and I was just saying in TeamSpeak, just please don't kill Sam, as I'm just spinning down backwards, just thinking I don't want to do what Gary did to Fraser. Like, I know it wasn't Gary's fault at all; those cars just snapped. So it's like I feel really bad for Fraser about that. That was just
that was horrendous. But the thing is, as well, is that as soon, like you said, as soon as you've got 2 wheels on the grass, you're just a passenger. With whatever happens on that one, but it's been a great season for you, Sean. I mean, that looks like it's going to be a top 20 finish in the championship, potentially, and Tom as well. I mean, it's been a good season so far.
Yeah, for me, absolutely. I was targeting top 20. This is my first time taking the sim racing seriously, so I didn't have great expectations, but I just wanted to put on a decent performance. Had a couple of rubbish races in the start, kind of rue not finishing an extra lap at Road Atlanta on both the races. Maybe would have got a couple extra points there. Had a really good race at Interlagos. It's an absolute favourite track, that. So I was pretty proud of the 9th, at least there. But no, I'm happy overall. It's great first go at this properly.
Excellent, guys. Well, thank you very much for taking part in the championship. Have a wonderful evening, and hopefully we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
So we've got one last person who wanted to come back in. Jack Eyre has. What's this about, young man? You've decided to pop back in.
I have indeed, yeah. Well, mix of emotions really. During the interview, I forgot to just say a massive thanks to you guys for commentating and broadcasting on every single race so far. And thanks to the SMRC for setting this up for us, a platform for us sim racers to get involved in. It's been a mega championship, and just hats off to everybody on the grid, and thanks to my team as well.
Excellent, and no problem, buddy. It's been an absolute pleasure. Enjoy the pretend champagne tonight, or the couple of beers or whatever. Have some lulls, and enjoy the thought of LMP2s and MX5s next season.
I cannot wait to get in a P2 car. You do not understand. I've driven this GT4 exclusively from the start to finish, really, because I've not really had anything else that I've been massively interested in, apart from Le Mans. But, yeah.
Excellent. Well, buddy, it's been an absolute pleasure. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next time, fella. Right, Alex, my man, that is us done, apart from one thing that we have to announce just now, and that is the Torque Racewear Driver of the Day. My good friend, would you like to announce who it is?
Well, it came to a majority vote because we decided to include Michael Weddle into this one. But the Torque Driver of the Day here at the final round of the SMRC eSports iRacing Summer Championship here at Bathurst is Anil Singh. He is our Torque Driver of the Day. A really good performance from him. Obviously, there were so many others that we could have picked from, but Anil definitely was the one that sort of stood out for me, and I think you were very much in agreement for that.
Anil was a wonderful, wonderful participant through the season, and it was just great to see his gradual progress. But tonight, just absolutely another level. So great drive from him tonight. So he'll be getting a pair of Torque Racewear gloves on his way to him. But that's it. That is us done and dusted for the season. Alex, it's been an absolute joy to have you in the commentary box alongside, and I feel absolutely devastated that that's it done. It's dusted. I mean, we've got the SMRC consoles finishing off next week, but yeah.
Well, as I said earlier on, in the words of Vinnie Jones, it's been emotional. But Rory, get things going for season 2. I definitely want to be back working alongside my good buddy, Mr. Christie, on what's been a fantastic championship. And let's see if Jack Eyre can defend his title. That's all I need to say about that one.
Yeah, certainly is. So from everyone here, from myself and Alex Goldschmidt, we've had a wonderful, wonderful time here hosting the SMRC iRacing Summer Championship. We will see you back very, very soon. Keep your eyes peeled to the SMRC eSports Facebook page. But for just now, guys, have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you very, very soon. Big thank you to all the drivers and to everyone at the SMRC.